Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alan Smason, and welcome to NOLA Theater Talk. This is part of the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group that we have and that we've created in the last several months. Also, this is broadcast not only there, but also to the theatercriticism.com Facebook page, as well as my own YouTube channel. You're welcome to sign up if you want and check things out there. We're going to have a wonderful guest on tonight. The first time we've had an opportunity to interview someone from the burlesque community. However, I wanted to remind everybody that we are going to be allowing everyone to make comments on Facebook, etc. If you're watching through the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group, we'd like you to make sure that you go to https://streamyard.com/Facebook, and that will allow your name to appear so that your comments will show up. And we'd love to have whatever comments you have show up there. You can also, as you're watching the live stream tonight on YouTube, can make comments. I won't be able to watch those as readily, so I do urge you to use your Facebook post if you can, first and foremost. Well, as I mentioned, the whole theater scene has many different facets to it. And we, of course, know back in the old days of vaudeville, what basically kind of replaced it was burlesque, told somewhat effectively in the Broadway musical Gypsy, as to what burlesque was a little bit about. It captured, I think, a little bit of the spirit of it, maybe not the exact situation for what goes on. But burlesque is not, and I'm going to really talk to our featured guest tonight in just a second. But in my way of thinking, burlesque is not essentially stripping. That's sort of a little bit more coarse kind of affair in my way of thinking. And she'll either agree or disagree with me. But burlesque is a more refined art. And I think it's part of the tradition that we have in theater. And I think part also in terms of bringing people together, which we'd like to be able to do much more now. Again, generally considered an art form for the delight of the men out there. But I think that there are quite a number of women who also appreciate what goes on in burlesque. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring on Trixie Minx. And if I may at this time, let's everybody give her a big welcome. Trixie, welcome to NOLA Theater. And thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you, Alan. It's working. I was shocked.
So you have to tell me a little bit. First off, am I on the mark? Am I off the mark? Am I misinformed? Burlesque is more of an art than it would be compared to stripping, as far as it goes. That stripping is not the same thing, and that there's a lot more to what goes on in terms of theater with burlesque. Would you agree, disagree?
Well, I think it's sort of a more involved question if you really think about it, because burlesque, like anything, there's a spectrum. So there's an umbrella. So you have everything from a fan dancer where nothing is taken off to somebody doing some sort of contemporary, like almost performance art piece. So to me, like if you actually, in short, to me, burlesque is the art of tease. And the way I perform it, I have a focus more on the comedic and dance performance, but it doesn't make it less valid if it's focused more on sexuality and sensuality, or if there's no stripping at all. But most people would say burlesque is the art of tease in general. So that's how I like to define it.
Okay, and of course you used to have a group, I don't know if it still is together, called Fleur de Tease. That was what, the flower of tease, or
yes.
like Fleur de Lis, but Fleur de Tease?
Yes. I actually had, prior to March, that's the funny thing. It's like prior to March, I had 4 shows in New Orleans. I had 3 weekly shows, 2 classic burlesque shows, which featured live jazz bands working with dancers, and a comic MC, very like that 1950s, 60s golden era Bourbon Street burlesque. I had my Fleur de Tis show, which I've been running for 12. I can't even remember anymore. It's like, I think it was 15 years now. We were going into our 15th season. And that's a monthly big scale review at One Eye Jacks, which is the old Shim Sham review.
Right.
Club, excuse me. And then I actually was really proud of this. In the past few years, I started an all male review that was called Bourbon Boylesque. So it was, everybody in the cast was a man. So I was very proud of that.
So in other words, as I said, burlesque is not just something that is only for men. It is sometimes for ladies. Now, of course, here in New Orleans, some of the men might be looking, at some of the men too. That's another story. The Chippendales, I think, have equal interest in both the male and the female genders, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it's funny because you would think, like, I initially thought we would just get men in our shows, but honestly, it's pretty much, well, again, like, I don't know right now what's happening, but back when we had real live shows, we had more women than men in the audience, because I feel like there's something empowering about, like, celebrating other women. And so we would find a lot of bachelorette parties, birthday parties, just women wanting to go out and have a good time. And when men do go, it's again, like, it's the people go out too. It's not like it's gendered either way, but it's sort of nice that it crosses boundaries that way.
I'm going to get to how you got into all of this, but first and foremost, let's go in and talk about what we're bringing in to drink tonight. Now, if you can see, this is a 9-ounce glass, and you can see how tall it is. It's pretty tall, and look at the head on that thing, huh? That's
a joke waiting to happen. Right?
That is one of the best Ramos Gin Fizzes you'll ever have in your life, and I mixed it up right for you. You saw me do it from scratch earlier tonight, and that's why we were a couple of seconds late, because it took me a little time to get the top of the shaker off. It was stuck on there pretty good. And what did you bring in tonight?
I brought tequila on the rocks.
Any particular kind? Is it?
It is very cheap. It is Sauza. It's not good. This is literally what happens when you are in the middle of a pandemic and the world is falling apart. You grab what you can get, Alan, and you just roll with it. Smiles and sunshine.
Okay. Well, let me back up a little bit. I actually remember doing an interview with you some years ago. I'm not sure if it was for the Crew Delusion, or I think it might have been, but you were named the Empress of the Crew Delusion. Is that correct?
Yes, I was. I actually requested the title Empress of the Insane.
Okay, and I think that might have been the first time that I actually got to know a lot more about you. Now, I might have seen you before in some other iterations of shows and things of that sort, maybe at One Eye Jacks, but I do remember that one in particular. And I remember talking to Roy Gus, of course, whose family was closely associated for many years with Antoine's restaurant, my favorite restaurant. And Roy had taken some pictures that he shared with me to publish over the Crescent City Jewish News, which is my online newspaper, etc. And they were all beautifully done, and Roy does great work. And we're not going to show any of his pictures tonight because we have so many other pictures to show. But I think that might have been the first time. And then you revealed, because of the Crescent City Jewish News, of course, that you are indeed of Jewish persuasion, that you come from Jewish parentage. Yeah. So, and I know you had, I'm trying to find the exact, I know they're not pasties, are they? Is that what they call them with the Star of David on them?
I did have pasties.
Is that what they are, pasties?
they're
so the tassels come from the pasties, is that right? The tassels extend out from the pasties, is that right?
So you can have a pasty with or without a tassel.
I got you. Okay.
You can have a with or without a straw.
So I know that would probably be considered pretty irreverent for a lot of people who are Jewish, but it was your thing. It was your shtick, and everybody's got to have a gimmick, as they say.
Exactly.
So now,
I think if you can't poke fun at yourself, then you need to just relax, lighten up. It's really, and I meant no disrespect. I truly don't. I'm proud of being Jewish. I'm not the best Jew, but I have a good heart, and my heart's in the right place. So why not giggle a little bit?
So tell me about your background. Where did you come from?
Okay, so I'll try and condense it because I tend to talk a lot. But originally, I'm from Miami, Florida, and my background's actually in ballet. So I trained all over the States. I trained with American Ballet Theater in New York, at the Kennedy Center with Suzanne Farrell, who was a famous Balanchine dancer. I danced briefly with Nashville Ballet, and then I broke my ankle, which is what brought me to New Orleans. And when I came down here, I thought dance was over. So I went to school. I had started a career in Pilates, was thinking about maybe transitioning that into physical therapy. And everybody I met in New Orleans was like, you need to be a burlesque dancer. Like, you need to try burlesque. And these were people who were from all different walks of life. Like, I had a friend that, actually, you might know her, Annie St. John.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
I was a background dancer on an opera. I think it was Turandot, because I was still dancing. I was still taking ballet classes because I truly do love it. And she was like, yeah, I really think you have to do this. I was working with a ballroom dancer who was like, oh, you're perfect for this. And even somebody that was going to school with me who was a burlesque dancer herself was like, oh, you're perfect for this. And I kept telling everybody, no, like, no, I don't take off my clothes. I would never, like, no. And it's funny because I really am the same way how Gypsy never showed it all. Like for me, I'm probably the most I guess like conservatively dressed burlesque dancer in the world, or I mean maybe not in the world, but just definitely in town. I don't show that much, and but lo and behold, I figured why not give it a try. I had all these wonderful people in my life encouraging me to do it, and after my first performance, it was like a fish to water, and I've never looked back since. It was truly, it felt like me, and I was so happy to find it.
Well, a few years ago, I remember going to One Eye Jack's, and I remember seeing you perform. And you must have been doing some kind of a mouse act. Is that what it was? Because
Yes.
you were not mousy in the least, but you were very kind. Matter of fact, I'm wearing my other Toulouse-Lautrec tie. On that one, I'm wearing a different one tonight, as far as it goes. But there you are in all your splendor. And again, you were very kind to pose for a shot with me. And you know, I did appreciate that. That was a big thrill. But yes, Anais, I think, might have been in one of those shows with you earlier. And I do remember talking to Anais. Of course, Anais is an opera singer by training. She's a cabaret performer. Again, she went to the Yale cabaret school that they had some years back, and no longer having this year due to the pandemic. But you know, a great training ground for many of the wonderful cabaret performers from New Orleans, including Amy Alvarez and Jefferson Turner, and I know that Anais was in that number. I think that I'm trying to remember everybody. I think Lisa Piccone was in there as well, and just, you know, just some of the very best individuals. I don't want to leave anybody out, so I'm going to probably do that. But every time I end up talking about a litany, you know, I always leave somebody out, and it's not by design. But you know, just some really wonderful performers, and Anais was one of those. But she was actually trained as an opera singer. So she says, "Alan, you must come by my show." And I said, "Oh, you're doing a show?" I'm thinking it's some sort of a performance thing that she didn't say necessarily it was burlesque. And I show up, and all of a sudden, all of the ladies are performing burlesque, and she did a very good job, but it was a little off-putting, I guess you might say, because I had expected her to be on stage singing or doing something a little different. This was great. Don't get me wrong. I was not upset, but I was taken aback because I didn't expect her to be in that. I guess you. What's that?
I have no manners, and I'm not used to. For anybody watching, I've been in quarantine for a very long time. I'm trying my best not to go out and socialize, and you can see that reflected in this interview when I have no manners, because I'm just like, ooh, a person, and they're talking to me. This is exciting. So apologies in advance. But what I was trying to say, and the reason I got excited and interrupted, was that Anais is such a multifaceted performer. Like, I love her Donna Summer show. So I got an opportunity to work with her in that show as well, just as a background dancer. But she's more than just a singer. She is a cabaret artist, and that she is a dancer, and, like, you know, the theater that's involved in that, and the character work. And so I think that it's really great that she has such a expansive repertoire. And that's where I got.
Okay, so let's go on a little bit, if I may. And again, I invite everybody who wants to leave a comment tonight to go on Facebook and leave a comment. We're broadcasting right now to several different spots on Facebook. If you're a friend of mine, not everybody's a friend of mine, I understand that, but if you're a friend of mine, you may already you know, be on my own Facebook channel and seeing on my page there. But we also have the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group that you can join us and become a member, and you'll see this every time we have a live stream broadcast. Also, for those of you who don't feel like joining a group, we made it available on the theatercriticism.com Facebook page. Now, theatercriticism.com is a site designed for reviews from various theater critics around the country. but it is a Facebook page to support that website. So that's what we have. And also on YouTube, we have our Musiclovers site that I have on YouTube. You can just look up my name, Alan Smason. It'll go right there, and you can subscribe or not, but you'll see this streamed out as well. And again, we want to thank Trixie Minx for being with us this evening, Friday night. And coming up the next 2 Friday nights, we have some really wonderful things. I'll be talking about that in the second half of the show, just to mention. But we're going to run a little bit of a banner. I'm going to try to start that up right now. This is going to be for a discussion coming up this next Monday about Latin and Hispanic inclusion. We're going to have 2 guests. One will be Jose Torres Tama, and the other will be, of course, Jen Pagan. So I don't know if you know Jen very well. Yeah, but you know, she's an interesting performer, and we're going to talk about the various aspects of how do we become inclusive and maybe as a community more diverse, bringing in more Latinx, different groups of people who represent the Hispanic community, and find out how we can pay attention to that particular aspect of theater and people who are performing in theater, because you know, we don't want to just concentrate on any one particular group. We want to be open to any and all. Again, if you need to leave a comment on Facebook, I suggest you go to streamyard.com/Facebook, and that'll give you permission to leave a comment. Trixie, let me just go ahead and see if I've got a. I know that you wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things, but let me just show you. This is your dog. This is Zeus, right? Who you're with?
Yes, that's my baby.
And now, why is Zeus that as a is that for any particular royalty or any kind of carnival
Sort
thing?
of. So Zeus, since I've been in quarantine, I have not been able to perform with other dancers. So I've enlisted my dog to participate in at-home productions, whether they're dance or theater or whatever they may be. And so for this was a part of a photo shoot. It's a porch series by a photographer by the name of Andreas Koch. And he was just going around to other artists in an effort to try and get them money or funds at the start, just taking pictures that they could then sell online. And I said, well, if I'm doing a picture, got to get my partner in crime here. So he is wearing the bottom half of my outfit and has his own tiara because, you know.
He is Zeus, I understand. As a god, he should have a crown or some sort of as a deity. I should say that we can't see his 4 legs, but the 2 of yours that we can see are quite nice. Thank you very much. So,
Yeah.
let's take a look at this. This is another one. And again, Zeus is in I guess he's doing a little bit of what would that be that he's got around him? Is that a
Actually, so what it's funny, I almost wore this tonight, but then I was like, nah, that's what if we show the picture. But honestly, this is a Catherine Delish gown. These are beautiful custom gowns by an internationally famous burlesque artist that she hasn't stopped performing, but she has sort of focused more on costuming, and she does beautiful work. So he is just being what I like to call glamour dog. So him luxuriating in the glamour that only a beautiful Catherine Delish gown can make you feel like a queen.
So let's talk a little bit about what you're doing right now, and insofar as you've been quarantined like everybody else for 4 months, working on now the 5th month, and we're actually no better off than we were. It seems like from phase 1 the last time we started this, things have gotten worse, not better in some ways. Looked like we were making progress, and then all of a sudden, not. So I know in the time that you have been trying to cook up some opportunities for you. One of the first things that we're going to talk about, and maybe tell me a little bit about what is Patreon. Tell me a little bit about this. What is Patreon?
Well, see, now this makes it look nasty. Patreon is not nasty at all. What it is it's a website or like basically a format the same way how Facebook or Twitter or anything, but it allows artists to go on and basically create art, but you can have patrons that support you on different levels. So for example, if like in mine, there's a $5 level. So for $5 a month, I produce comedy content. So most of it is sketch comedy. And I just put those videos out. If you go to the $10 level, then you can see a little bit more behind the scenes. You can see some of the burlesque acts I'm creating, costuming, some of my home life. And then if you go up even higher than that, we actually have cocktail parties. So you can actually come and talk to me, and we hang out. And we basically.
So you have a $5 level, maybe a $10 or $15 level, and then the highest level where people can actually interface with you on a more regular basis. Let's put it that way.
And it's what I think is really interesting is that people have been telling me to do Patreon forever, and I kept saying no because I think that I have no judgment, and I personally don't think it's bad, but I didn't want to be associated with, like, I wanted to be very clear that what I was doing was burlesque and comedy. And I feel like a lot of people jump to the conclusion that if I'm on video, then I'm a cam girl, which for any audience members that aren't aware what that is, that's somebody that's doing sex work online. I got to be honest. And I have a lot of friends that are doing it specifically now, and it's been a great resource for everybody. But as I said before, I am much more a clown than
right. Understood.
So if I was doing that, I think people would be severely disappointed and ask for their money back, and it would just be bad for everyone. But so Patreon, I was just a little bit nervous about it, but it's funny. Clint Majan, he has one, and he's been encouraging me to do it forever, and so I finally started it. But for those of you that don't know, Clint Majan is the saxophone player with the Preservation Hall Jazz Band.
Right.
We actually worked together in the New Orleans Bingo Show. That's his project. And I went on and worked with him on that. And it was one of these things where he kept talking about how it was so great because in a performance, in a show aspect, there's a stage and then there's the audience. So there's a limited connection. And with burlesque, it's unique because there is an interactive connection. We want you to clap and shout and scream, and that sort of encourages the dancer. It's a dialogue of sorts. However, he says with Patreon, he gets to do all these amazing things that maybe don't fit on stage or in a song or with Preservation Hall, but are still fun to do. And that's what I'm finding with Patreon, because like all the comedy stuff I'm doing right now wouldn't necessarily make sense in a burlesque show. Like I did one skit where I pretended to be a country music star and I wrote a country music song, but it was all parody, it's all ridiculousness. However, me dressed as a man singing a country music song would not fit in a show where I have a 4-piece jazz band and like, red velvet curtains. Like it's nice. I get to basically exercise muscles, and I get to connect with these people who truly want to support not just the arts and local artists, but they want to support me. And I really appreciate that. And so it just means a lot. I get to talk to them and be like, they just tell me like, that was so funny, that made my day. Or like, oh, have you ever thought about this or this? And it's just nice to have that sort of more in-depth connection.
Well, I want to try to share one of your videos, and I think this is a mask PSA. I looked for the one we got the other day, so I'm going to try to go on. Let me make sure that I got this thing ready to go. And this is one of your PSAs. I'm not quite sure if I can. The way the thing works, it's gonna take me a second. A little wonky here for me to do all this, but let me see if I can get the thing shared out and make sure that I've got the audio as well. So all I need to do is make sure I go live, and let's see if it works. Let's see if it works.
Good one, but I just warn your audience.
All right. Is it? Oh, is it?
It's nothing naked, but it's a lot of love.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead. Here we go.
Hi guys. Just a friendly little reminder to wear a mask when you're going outside. Zeus, you want to go for a walk? Let's go.
I see you have a filter on there.
I do.
Thank you for watching, and thank you for not watching, I guess, too, for a certain extent. Let me make sure that we stop the sharing so that
I was going to say, you're going to go up and also you see a lot more. That actually was really nice. So I've been doing a lot of PSAs, both with organizations and on my own. I've been very, very happy to work with the city of New Orleans on a few things. I feel like in this situation where there's so little we can do besides merely like, if everybody just stayed home for 4 weeks, this thing would be over. But realistically, that doesn't work for everybody. And then there's other people who don't want to play nice. So I'm not going to get into all the politics of that. But I am going to say it makes me feel hopeful to at least be able to participate in videos for them or anything that can at least be shared on social media and just keep things light and happy and sort of like keep people giggling from home and just spirits up so they're not like, it's very easy to get depressed in this sort of situation. So
Yeah.
anytime
Yeah.
we laugh, a little bit of just comedy, that makes me happy.
So I'm going to go ahead and show a couple more shots. We've already seen some of them. Now, I remember you were the guest. I don't want to say guest of honor necessarily, but let's just say that you were one of the featured performers at a Hadassah gathering that they had called Free the Tatas. And again, that may sound a little more risque than it was. It was really an opportunity for people to say, save money on breast cancer. It was the idea being that there were people who had actually been and they had casts made, etc., of their bodies, and then they colored them, painted them, etc., and then they sold those off at auction. And it was quite an interesting way to raise money for breast cancer research. And again, there are a lot of people involved in Hadassah in that, because a number of people have been affected by it and have taken it as a personal cause. But I remember there was a picture that I ended up taking, and I thought it was
that's me.
It captured you to the essence, I thought, because that red is definitely you, the color. The pink and the white, of course, adorned, but I mean, you were just there, and irrepressible, and I think that you actually added to the celebration that night in a meaningful way. So again, it's good to know that you're part of the Jewish community in more ways than just via your pasties. So.
It's actually, I went to my first Zoom bar mitzvah in quarantine, which was weird, and just it's bizarre. I don't know. I think whatever we can do to just keep people's hopes up and heads in the right direction, I'm down for that.
So I have to ask, what is in your mind the craziest thing you've done in terms of performing? Either a place, a venue, or what you were asked to do.
I can tell you right now. This is an easy answer. It's going to probably surprise you. It's not burlesque. It's So I was hired for an event at the convention center, and I was told it was for an electric company, and I was told they you know how Mr. Peanut is like a peanut and he has legs and arms, and they're like, we have this costume where we want somebody with nice legs and nice arms, and we basically want a dancer that has good posture because you won't see your body, but you'll see these legs and arms, and we just want you to greet people and interact and just be pleasant and social. And I said, okay, sign me up. And I got there, and they dressed me as a water heater. Like I was a water heater. And so I was wearing, whoever made it did a really good job, but the base of the water heater was an actual plastic trash can with like these shoulder pads. So I was wearing a trash can covered in foam. And it was like, when I say it had like, it was like Disney characters. So like, I thought my legs and arms were going to be shown. Like I literally brought high heels and, had my fingers manicured, but they put me in like Mickey Mouse white shoes and the Mickey Mouse white hands. And I wore, and then they thought my legs were too showy. So then which is the whole reason they hired me for this, for my legs. And then they put me in like a black sweatsuit underneath. So I basically was wearing a black sweatsuit and a trash can at the convention center for 3 days.
Very strange.
That was the strangest event I've ever worked. And it was for like General Electric or something. It was, I think there was a disconnect between the person that was doing the hiring and the person that had the concept for the idea. They were like, I think there were too many cooks in the kitchen. And somebody was like, oh, I got a great idea. We'll have these really fun, interactive characters to greet people. And they'll be like, oh my gosh, electricity is cool. And keep in mind, it wasn't just me. There was also a giant light bulb, which was a male dancer who, he was like, I didn't sign up for this. And then there was this, I felt bad. There was like a mini space heater, which was like a petite lady who was, under 5 foot, that was just running around. It was ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Well, again, I guess you were bringing on the heat in the hot water. I'm not quite sure, but do you know? Was there ever any time where somebody hired you and then you realized the audience was wrong, that they were too young for you to be out there, or not?
I've
You
been
mentioned a bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, whatever. I mean, was there ever a time where the kids were just a little bit younger than maybe they should have been? No.
I mean, I think that's the thing is that like most of the time I'm hired like when I get so in my shows I do a lot of stuff that people are buying a ticket and they know what they're coming in. And for events, a lot of times it's like, oh, featuring Trixie Minx, or we're bringing in burlesque, or so people know, but it's when I'm a surprise. A lot of times I pop out of birthday cakes, or I
Yeah.
pop out of boxes, or just I pop out of random things all the time for people who are unsuspecting. And I think that's probably the thing that's the most awkward. And one time a mother hired me for her son and she really like she wanted it. She's like, he's gonna get this, this is gonna be great. And you could tell the son was not into it. He was just like
Yep.
not feeling
Yep.
it. And the thing was he was younger than me, but he wasn't like a baby or anything, but it was just like it was a little bit like I was like, I'm so sorry, sir. I'm gonna be through in just 5 minutes. Like, let me finish this. I promise you won't get injured. It's gonna be quick, short, sweet, I promise. And it was just so funny. There's a lot of times where I pop out of the box and the person, they're more just sort of, they're like, oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting that. So that's always funny.
So my story for you, just so you'll get an idea about what I'm talking about, because I know exactly what you're talking about. I was on a trip with my mother and my son to Paris. It was
Mhm,
the turn of the millennium, 1999 to 2000.
mhm.
Although some will say 2000 to 2001 was the real millennium, but we're gonna go with the time when
We'll
more
just
years were changed.
me.
And we were on the streets of Paris, etc. And my mother booked us to go to where? The Crazy Horse
Oh, I
Saloon.
love that show.
And my son, who could not have champagne because when you pay for the prices that you pay at the Crazy Horse, you get free champagne.
Yeah.
But with him, he got free Coca-Cola. That was all they would give him. And his eyes, when he first came in, I thought might be a little bit more leading outward, basically anything. But he was not at all amused. He didn't like, that kind of situation, that kind of show, and he was embarrassed, and I kind of felt a little uneasy for him as well. So I know exactly what
Yeah.
you're going through.
That's the thing is when somebody is going into a show and they know what they're going to see and they're like, oh, I'm excited, or oh, I'm nervous, or oh, I don't know how I feel about this, but you're aware of what's going to happen versus when you're in your home or in a restaurant or like on a boat or on a train or on a plane, and then all of a sudden somebody randomly pops out of a box. Like that is a little unnerving, I can imagine.
All right, so that brings me to Trixie-Grams.
Oh, yes.
Describe what a Trixie-Gram is. When you're popping out of someplace or whatever. This is sort of like the same sort of thing. Is it like if somebody wants to give somebody like a telegram?
Yes.
And
So
so
basically, I created this at the start of quarantine, and I was actually doing it a lot up until July, and it was too hot to honestly to be in a wig, lashes, the whole 9 yards. It has to be late in the day. But I'm looking forward to starting it back up in September. But a Trixie-Gram, the idea I love the little sign you did. Professional. A Trixie-Gram is basically my take on a traditional scene telegram. So I come up to somebody's door, I'll ring the doorbell, knock, whatever. And then I stay, depending on how the situation is with their house, either on the sidewalk or on the other side of the street. And I basically do a sort of burlesque inspired showgirl performance. So I'll pop out of a box with lots of balloons. I'll dance with feather fans. I'll take off my gloves. I might take off a corset. There's no actual reveal, but there's lots of fun and silliness, and it's just more a sort of spectacle. I've been hired for birthdays. I've been hired for graduations. I've been hired just simply because somebody was like, you know what? This couple is down and we were supposed to go on vacation together and we're not. So can you go over to their house and do an act that's inspired about like the beaches of wherever? It's most of my acts are traditional burlesque themed, but I've done a Star Wars themed, which I thought was really funny. And
okay,
customized it for different people. I did one, the Star Wars theme was the one that just pops initially to mind. I'm trying to think of the other one now. Oh, it was somebody who was like a germaphobe and he wanted it to be like they wanted to somehow tie and clean. So basically I popped out of the box and I did my little bit and then I just started like obsessively cleaning everything around. I was like, in a full showgirl outfit, I'm just cleaning everything. It was really funny.
Sounds like fun. You know, again, these are opportunities for you. Now, if somebody wanted to do a Trixie-Gram, where do they go to look this stuff up? I mean,
Easy. All you actually, I should have a better set, but all you do is email me, Trixie@TrixieMinx.com.
okay.
Or my website and just message, like, be like, I would love a Trixie-Gram, any of my social medias, and I'm happy to book it.
Now, are there different levels? In other words, like you had the 5, the 10, or 15, and the 25. So a Trixie-Gram costs the same, long form or short form, no matter what you're doing, right?
Exactly. The Trixie-Gram, the only thing, I do a price cut if it's somebody who doesn't live in the New Orleans area and they still want to participate. So I'm doing it from home where I'm not driving to you. I do a price cut for that.
And how close do you get? You socially distance, but I mean, like,
it changes based on where the house is and how far. But personally, if you can just think of across the street, like whatever the distance is of the street from somebody's house, that's normally where I like to be. So if somebody is on their porch, I'll most likely be across the street.
but do you have to ring the doorbell, or do they know that you're going to come? I mean, if they ring the doorbell, now you're closer than across the street.
Well, it depends. So most of the time, I'm a surprise. People don't know what's happening. So if I'm a surprise, I normally will text the person who's planning it, and they'll be like, "Go to the door, go to the door." And if I do have to ring the bell, it's very funny. I ring the bell, and I just like, it's very comical, the whole experience.
I would love to hear from some people out there who, you know, would love to ask any questions, because, you know, we have you as a captive audience. Again, I am talking tonight to Trixie Minx. Again, Trixie is one of our great stars of burlesque here in New Orleans. And thank you for being with us, Trixie. Those of you who are not familiar with what this is all about, this is the NOLA Theater Talk Show. My name's Alan Smason, and I created the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group that is a way to connect our New Orleans theater, all of the different aspects and facets of the theater community. We try to bring people together, and this is an aspect that we have not really talked about a lot. And it's the first time you were the first person from the burlesque community who is here. But I really think, you know, it's interesting because back on Stepping Out, back in the old days, when we first started, Bella Blue was our makeup artist. And, you know, I used to see Bella every Friday when we had Stepping Out. You know, she'd put the powder on, etc. You know, yes, I have to wear the face pancake as well as anybody else, although a few times, you know. But, you know, the idea being that she was there for, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years. And then, you know, she went off on her own doing some other things as far as it goes. Now, would you consider Bella a competitor, a colleague? How does that work?
I don't personally. I don't like the idea of competition in the arts in general. Like I understand it with sports because you can actually measure, like, oh, this person is clearly faster. But I don't think arts, like, we're all wonderful and we all do wonderful things. I do consider her a colleague. It's funny because she started doing burlesque with me and Fleur de Tease, and then grew and wanted to do her own thing. And what she does is different than what I do, but it's all again under that same umbrella of burlesque. And we are ultimately working for the same thing, which is just to put out like good energy and great performances and encourage more people to get involved. So I'm totally down for that.
Yeah. Well, and again, like you said, she's different than what you are. Everybody's got their own different aspects. And, you know, I know that, that she was touring a lot too. And I know you did some touring too. Didn't you go to Vegas and some other places?
Actually, for the past, I think 6 years, I've been working with a show in Atlantic City. So every summer I've been going back and forth from New Orleans up and down there. But no, I've performed internationally. I've performed in Australia. Last summer, I've headlined the Jazz Ascona Festival in Switzerland. I've performed in London earlier this year. Wherever somebody wants me to go, I'm there. I'm like, hey, I'm here. So it's I prefer, honestly, just to dance. Ultimately. So if there's an opportunity to dance out of town, I'm up for it. If there's an opportunity to dance in town, I'm up for it. Yeah.
So again, this all pretty much stopped though in March when everything kind of closed down. Yeah. Now, where were you supposed to be this particular year? Where were you headed to?
Well, honestly, I don't even remember anymore. I feel like it feels like it was so long ago. I'm like, I can't even remember what my life was like back then. But I was about to start the burlesque show again in Atlantic City, and we were in the process. I actually was in Mexico the day before they shut down everything here in New Orleans. So I got back like just in time. So I feel very fortunate about that. But I was supposed to. We had we had shows running the next day. We had all of our weekly shows, our monthly shows. This summer, I was supposed to again do the burlesque show in Atlantic City, but there were all these other projects I was really, really excited about. Some of which may or may not still be happening, and a lot of collaborations with other artists and everything. It initially started with like, oh, we'll move to May. So from March, like, oh, let's give it a month. Mid-March, like mid-April, let's just start 1st of May. We'll start after Jazz Fest. Like that's what everybody said. And then as we got closer, it was like, let's do 4th of July. And then as we got closer, everybody's just like, you know what? Let's just put it on pause and we'll readdress it when we can. So everything that was coming up, everything that was supposed to happen, just sort of like we did this, and then this.
Right. Well, the same thing. You know, we had the Big Easy Awards that were supposed to be beginning of April, and then it got pushed to June, and then it got pushed to September. And the last I've heard, it's still up in the air. It's very doubtful that we're going to honor any of the people for 2019 this year, and it's really a real shame because we had people like Polanco Jones Jr., who were theater person of the year, and all those people who should have been acknowledged for the great work that they did this past year, and they're going to miss out. Now that doesn't mean we're not going to honor them when we come back, whenever that is, but so many people are hurting right now, and that's one aspect of the theater community that we may not see come back from the pandemic, because the cost involved with putting that event on was very high to begin with, and now with with Gambit Magazine taking it over from the foundation that was there prior. Everybody used to call it the Gambit Magazine Awards, but it wasn't. It was the foundation that had put it on, and they used to try to change the name around for people to understand it wasn't Gambit. Now it is Gambit, but the question is whether or not they're going to continue it, and we don't know. It's still up in the air, but we're hoping that they can see their way clear to do something. But the problem is they were trying to make it sort of a socially interactive event, and so just one of those things. Here's a comment for you. Oh. Saw you at the Anchor in Edgerton, Wisconsin.
That was amazing. I remember that. Oh my gosh, that makes me so happy. No, I didn't talk about this. In February, we did a Valentine's Day show all the way in Wisconsin, which I have never performed in Wisconsin, but for the people that know, they know. For the people that don't, I am actually not just a huge fan of cheese. I'm the queen of cheese, the queen of the Fête de Fromage Festival. I actually was on a call with them today. We were like, what are we going to do? The festival's postponed. Like, oh no. But it was awesome. The whole team there, they had it was nice to bring a little bit of New Orleans up there, and it was crazy how much snow there was. It was wild.
Sure. Now where's Edgerton in comparison to Milwaukee or Madison or where?
I don't. All I know was cold and there was snow.
Well, John and Nancy are going to have to let us know how far away Edgerton is from either Madison or Milwaukee or one of the other sites in Milwaukee. Let us know so we know how far away it is.
Awesome.
I know Appleton is not far away from where Green Bay is. Where they have the Green Bay Packers, etc. Talk about cheese heads. Now that's the capital of cheese.
I've had cheese curds before, but like I didn't realize it was like they come in so many flavors, like potato chips. Like you know how you have regular potato chips,
sure,
like salt and vinegar, and then you have like Cool Ranch and cheese. Like that's what happened with these cheese curds. It was incredible. Like it was funny. I very rarely get to this point, but I was just like, I can't eat any more cheese. I was so like, I had cheese out. It was awesome.
Have you ever been at Christmas time with the cheese sticks?
I didn't know. No.
Well, I mean, you've never gotten an overdose of the cheese sticks that they have that people give out? You know,
No.
like a lot of times they give out cheese. For holidays, a lot of times you have fruit cakes. A lot of people give out cheese sticks that they have
Nobody gives
there.
me anything for the holidays.
Oh my God, they're amazing, but they're rich, you know, very rich. And the other thing, I guess, in terms of the cheese, there's another thing that they have up in Canada. Have you been to Canada much
Um,
with
I,
cheese?
I've been
Cheese.
to a handful of times. I've been at mostly Montreal and Toronto.
Okay, so you know what they have there called poutine.
Oh yes, when I discovered that, I was like, I should know about
So
this.
so basically, it's French fries,
Hmm.
which I love. I love French fries that are nice and crunchy and crispy, long and thin. And poutine, basically, the idea of poutine is to take cheese curds and make it all gravy kind of on top of it, and just make it all mushy. So obviously, I'm not a big fan of poutine from that standpoint. Now, if my French fries were really crunchy and crispy, and the poutine was on top of them, and they stayed nice, crunchy, and crispy, I'd go for that. So I can improve Canada a little bit if they would listen to me a little bit, take my advice on that. So let's see. I want to get into another one of your. This is one of your happy birthday modules. I want to see if I can get to that real quick and share that one out as well. So let's see if we can play this for everybody. I have to make sure I have the audio up as well. Let me make sure that that this is shared out, and let's see that the audio is good. Make sure. Here we go, and let's play it.
Hi, just came by to say happy birthday. Bye.
That's my dog again.
Yeah,
So
and
that's one.
and
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm not good at peopling right now.
and scene.
Yes.
So so very interesting. So I've been running the streaming about it here for everybody's benefit, but I'm going to tell you about it because you're going to be the first person to hear about this. But in my guise as a theater critic and in my work with Stepping Out, which occasionally I do. Those of you who don't know that I'm the theater critic on Stepping Out. There you go. You can see my Stepping Out. Ooh, fancy schmancy. Anyway, I found out about a play really on Lil Hardin. It's on Louis Armstrong, but it's on Lil Hardin, and it's written by a very fine playwright named Joe Morrell. Joe's going to be my guest next Friday night, and we're going to have Ricky Riccardi, who is from the Louis Armstrong House Museum, and basically it's the home where Louis and his wife, his widow, lived until he passed, and she continued to live there. And that house was donated, I believe, to a university up in Queens, and they've made it into a museum, and many people from New Orleans have gone. But Joe Morrell worked doing fantastic research on making sure that the life of Lil Hardin was documented.
Mm-hmm.
And furthermore, she got music, and we're going to find out all about this because the public domain exists for a lot of the music that was done back in the 20s and 30s, etc. But the performance rights still exist. So in order to be able to present this thing correctly, she actually went into a studio, and we're going to talk about this, and hired musicians to play the music that was actually done originally by Louis Armstrong and the Hot Fives, the Hot Sevens, etc., working with King Oliver Band, etc. So this will be very interesting from the standpoint of people who are really students of Louis Armstrong, and we're going to have Ricky Riccardi, who's the curator for the Louis Armstrong House Museum in Queens. And he's going to be with us this next Friday, and he's going to come back the following Friday. So it'll be the 14th and the 21st. He'll be here because I found another strong work written by a songwriter, and I'm not going to give all the details now, but written by a songwriter who's very, very well known in Motown circles, and he actually wrote a musical on Louis Armstrong, and it's fascinating to see these works come out of like just be found, and it was such a revelation for me that even Ricky didn't know about it. And so when he doesn't know about something dealing with Louis Armstrong, you know it's very rare indeed. So for all of you people out there who are Louis Armstrong fans, I want to remind you to check that out coming up this next Friday, which will be equivalent to the 14th, and then the following Friday on the 21st. We had another couple okay, so here's where it is. Edgerton is 15 miles south of Madison, so it's not too far away from the university. Thank you very much, John and Nancy. That's very nice, and I hope that you stick around a little bit more. We have a few more minutes, and we did get another user. Again, if you don't use the all we get is Facebook user. It says hello, hello, hello. We're here tonight with again with Trixie Minx, and we want to thank you all for sticking around. All of this is part of our endeavor to be part of the New Orleans theater scene. Trixie, of course, is a star of burlesque, and she's been filling us in on her work. So we talked about Trixie-Grams. We talked about Patreon. So I think I've got one more that I'm going to try to share out right now, and maybe you can tell me a little bit about what this is. This is one that I think Doug McCash had, and this might be one of the things where you have the flowers and the feathers, etc. So I'm going to try to see if I can share this one out as well. And then I think it runs about a minute, a little bit over a minute. So let's see if I'm lucky to do this one right. It says certainly something about you've lost your mind in the quarantine. Is that correct?
I did.
All right.
My mind. That's the dog. This is me. Good dog. Mama dog. Look at this dog doing his bit. Yeah, kick the side. Kick. Good dog. Good dog. Good dog. We all kick it up in here.
And a left, and a right, and a right, and a left.
He is a complete diva. He does fairly well in rehearsal and horrible in performance. He's very unprofessional.
I am just acting like a fool today, and I cannot stop, and I don't want to stop. I'm sorry if I have bored you. I just need to work that out of my system. Sometimes I just got to be free. And I shaved my armpits for everybody in preparation for phase 2. Just in case we get close enough, you can see I shaved it. This one too. That's 2 for 2. Hey neighbors. Good.
Who was the cameraman on this?
Me.
So it was stationary camera, huh?
I'm a damn. Wait, listen to this.
Angle, but I feel like I can fit everything in, including the dog. Zeus, look, it all works. It's perfect. This, I should be a cinematographer.
Okay.
So I feel like I need to explain myself.
I don't know that you can.
So honestly, that's the type of video, that's like what I call comedy content. So that's what I'm putting on my Patreon page. But before I did the Patreon page, I was just posting it on YouTube. And again, it was other artists and other friends that were like, can we give you money? Can we donate? How can we support you? So what I do is I make videos like that for Patreon first. But after it's been on Patreon for a week or two, I then share it publicly with everybody on my YouTube channel, especially because a lot of us are in situations like, no judgment, but some of us just have jobs that don't work in a quarantine pandemic environment. So it's the type of thing you can enjoy these comedy videos on my YouTube channel completely free. And I want to offer that to people. I want people to see this. I want it to laugh. So it's sort of a long tagline, but if you go to YouTube and just type in Trixie Minx, you hopefully will find me. It's C/Trixie Minx TV. And it's essentially what I think are the funniest videos from my Patreon account go on there, but it's literally a slice of my life and what I've been doing at home right now. I've lost my mind and I've put it in a video.
You have a very supportive family, apparently, huh?
Well, I have, my family is extremely supportive, but I think, again, like, I don't know if you know this, my sister, she works with National Theatre of Scotland. So it's been sort of funny us working together. So she's been taking her theater stuff online. So we've been like sort of doing these videos, and none of us have ever been like a videographer. So we're like, well, what do you think about this? Does this work? And like, what do you think about this? Does this work? And then my brother, who's strange, this is the funny thing. My brother went to school. He's the baby who's like, at 30, but he's still the baby. But he went to school for videography. So he knows how to do all this video stuff. However, his job now is he works in science. So he is super, super busy with all this Corona stuff, but he's helped me and her out and like sort of figuring out, we're like, how do we do this? He's like, get a ring light, get a tripod, get a this, get a that. So it's been nice that we actually work as all the kids have come together to make this happen.
So I think we pretty much covered most everything I told you we were going to deal with tonight. See, and you said, I don't know if we've got enough to cover for a whole hour. And I said, Trixie, do not worry. We will be more than happy to do that. But again, I really want to thank you for being here. And and I know that burlesque is not really covered a lot in theater circles. And I know that a number of people have been doing it. I know there's a place down in the 9th Ward that has been doing it as well, not right past Bacchanal, which is a little place, right where what is it, Poland Avenue is. It's a little like a little small bar over there, and they've got like a lot of graffiti almost like on the side of the bar. What's the name of it?
Bar Redux. I think I'm saying it wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I actually we did this is actually something cool too. It has nothing to do with me, but are you familiar with the House of Tulip? It's basically this new organization that popped up, and it's about providing homes for trans youth. So basically, people who would be homeless, they give them a place to stay and like a security and like a network of people that have their back. And so we did a fundraiser where a bunch of burlesque dancers came together and donated a bunch of stuff to that, and that's where they hosted. It went really well.
So again, I know they do some stuff. They do some stuff over at what you mentioned earlier, One Eye Jacks. Mm-hmm. Is it still called One Eye Jacks? Because I never know the name. It's still called One Eye Jacks. And where are some of the other places that people might be able to catch you?
Honestly,
if we open back up again.
I was gonna say if you spit, but like that, you can't do that right now. But pretty much anywhere you look, there's gonna be a burlesque dancer nowadays. There's a burlesque has, I think, burlesque has always been popular within smaller groups, but I think it's become publicized more, so it's more normalized as well. There's not a stigma that it's dirty or it's wrong. It's just entertainment, and it purely is just fun. And so a lot of places that don't necessarily post burlesque shows will have a burlesque dancer. So like there's a lot of comedy shows or theater shows where at intermission they'll bring on a burlesque act, or to open the show, or just a little something to spice it up, a variety act, a guest artist. But there's the shows I did, I had one at One Eye Jacks. I hosted a burlesque show at the Royal Sonesta in the Jazz Playhouse. I hosted one at the Saint Hotel in their Burgundy Bar Lounge. Oz was where we hosted the all-male review. There's the Always Lounge, which is great. I love them. Siberia, which is now called Carnival. I'm going to mess it up. But there's that. I mean, like pretty much anywhere you go in New Orleans, if you just like walk a few feet, you'll probably see a burlesque dancer. And
ladies and gentlemen, if you happen to see a sign that says Trixie Minx appearing tonight, you'll know exactly who we're talking about. Trixie, I want to thank you for being here. Stick around. I'm going to take you out of the stream while I get ready to close out, but it's been a pleasure to have you. And again, I hope that people will check you out. Again, TrixieMinx.com is where you go to your website. And again, we'll hope that everybody will be with us this Monday. We have a very important gathering as we deal with our Hispanic community. We're going to have, again, Jose Torres-Tama, the performance artist, and Jen Pagan at 8 o'clock on Monday night to talk about inclusivity and basically inclusion, if you will, and diversity in the theater community for Hispanic and Latin artists. And we're going to end then on Friday, a week from tonight, we will have the first of 2 Fridays dedicated to works of theater dealing with Louis Armstrong. Next week's is going to be Joe Morell's play called Lil and Satchmo, about Lil Hardin for the most part, but it does involve quite a bit of Louis Armstrong. And then the following week, we're going to talk with another never before heard of musical about the life of Louis Armstrong. For NOLA Theater Talk, thank you all for being here tonight. My name is Alan Smason. And again, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you at the theater.